Hey, what's up everyone? So I just met someone and I really want to share this story with you because I really think it'll help you guys. So I met this person who came from China and they just revealed so much about how China is and how easier it is in America, and it really just reminded me about my opportunities that I take for granted. So here's the long story short. Basically, China is like apparently 10 times more competitive because of just the sheer amount of people. And what ends up happening is because there's just so many people there, it's a lot tougher just to get the same results. And a lot of people they will try and get into America because it's a lot easier and less competitive to succeed and get good grades here. And the thing is, it's very, very tough to even get in here. So it's like a very intricate, complicated system that they have to go through. All these different types of cards, green cards, and all these other cards that they have to get. And that doesn't even guarantee that you'll be able to stay. And on top of that, it's just like, there's like so many, it's very tough. And she even started talking about like how there's like a black market where you can like pay a lot of money, like $50,000. And maybe you can, if you're lucky, when you pay that amount, you can get like a fake marriage, or someone will actually marry you, and then you can get into the US. But the whole thing is literally just like, it's very tough, and everyone's just like struggling to get in. And it reminded me of a quote from the personal development guru Zig Ziglar, or was it Jim Rohn? It was one of the two who said this in a speech, and they basically said, it's not hard to succeed, it's easy to succeed. Why is it easy to succeed? Because we live in America, and in America, it's so much easier to succeed here than any other country, whether it's Bangladesh, China, or some random country like Thailand. And the reason is because there's so much opportunity and you have all these rights and chances to improve your livelihood. It's easy. And he really sealed the deal, whether it was Zig or Jim who said this, he really sealed the deal by saying that just look at all these people. There's no other country on this earth where people are squeezing through the fences to try and get in. And when I think about it, a lot of people are talking about how China is overtaking the US. I still think that the US has yet to see its last best days, because I think its best days are ahead of it still, because when you look at China, no one's really squeezing through the fences, trying every little thing to get into the US. And in fact, I see a lot of people from China coming here, whether to take classes here, whether to go to college here, whether to just have a better chance. And they're willing to leave their homes, leave their friends, leave the language that they know and love. And it's not just China, there's thousands of different languages and cultures and ethnicities doing the exact same thing. And so it really just reminded me of all the things I take for granted being born here, because it's so easy to be caught in this space of comparing yourself or complaining or focusing on what you don't have. I can easily be complaining about how I'm not rich or famous or achieved any of the goals that I once set out. But I do think that when you study the science of happiness, you find that gratitude is one of the most important things to and long enduring level of happiness. And it's really good to just counterbalance yourself and say, I'm really grateful for what I do have. And this was a great reminder to say, hey, okay, you may not have all this stuff, but look at all the stuff that you do have that you're taking for granted. And I just want to conclude with a quote from one of Will Smith's recent movies. It's called Concussion. And this quote actually came from the person he was acting as in the movie in real life. He interviewed the real guy who is a doctor who came from like this African country to live in the US. And here's what the quote said. He said, when I was growing up, heaven was here and America was right here. It was barely underneath. That was where God sent all his favorite children. And that quote, I think it just really nails a hammer on the head to the opportunity, the rights, the freedom, the chances that we have that most other countries do not have. So yeah, that's it. Again, this is not like a like a political or uh, activist type video. It's about taking things uh, that we take for granted and bringing them to the forefront and expressing gratitude for them, and alerting you and making you aware of all the things that we take for granted. And certain things uh, really just woke me up today when I met this person, because she had all these different rights, all these different things that she was fighting for, and she was hustling really hard. And she's not the only one. I know tons of people. In fact, my parents and ancestors, they hustled really, really hard just even get a chance. And again, it's not. I'm not trying to brag or anything, but my parents really worked hard. Like they worked like numerous jobs, barely slept, worked really, really hard raising me, and yeah, like a lot of other people their age, they didn't have to deal with that in college. They didn't have to work several jobs at once just to get by, and I think that is something that a lot of us take for granted. We can easily sit in our college dorm and just be like, man, if we only had this, if we only had six-pack abs, or if we only had more money, or if we only had better dates, and not really appreciate what we do have. And I just want to conclude finally. I was going to conclude earlier, but I kept going. So now I want to conclude with another quote from another very successful actor, Terry Crews. And Terry, he started a YouTube channel, and he also went on Jimmy Fallon recently, and Jimmy asked him, where does all your energy come from? And he says, gratitude. I'm a statistic that shouldn't have existed. Terry went on to say how many of his friends had died, many of his other friends were still in jail, and yet he, kind of like Jay-Z had a similar story, he was all for some reason super successful, and that gratitude just fueled his energy. So long story short, I do think that gratitude is not just something that someone wags your finger at you and says you should do. It can really fuel your energy, it can really improve your happiness, and it can really help you succeed, because there's been a lot of studies done. Check out the book, The Happiness Advantage. There's a lot of studies done in that book that are, it's referenced in that book. The book didn't make the studies, but there's like hundreds that really show that happiness is correlated with every other indicator of success. Your well-being, your relationships, fulfillment, achievements, financial prosperity, and so forth. So long story short, gratitude will help you with everything else in life. Okay, this should have taken 10 seconds. This video is already 8 minutes long. Thanks, and subscribe.